Kaya and Ryan Moorhouse as well. Two well-known players, very established as well in their home countries. Kaya, of course, coming from Germany and Ryan coming from the UK. Kaya, a world champion as well, no less. But Ryan, of course, been around the block himself. Ryan, I know, is such a fantastic, well-known UK player with some fantastic accolades.
That's so fantastic to hear. Love to hear that we're always getting a masterclass over here on our special event main stage.
Yeah, and here we see both players shuffling up. I can tell you the deck list that both players are bringing. Kaya bringing Giratina V-Star, but here we see Kaya's achievements. But of course, none maybe coming up there. But
yeah, honestly, Kaya has been an absolute trailblazer in the seniors bracket, and I'm so pleased to welcome her to the main stage of the Masters once again. No shy face to our cameras, that's for certain. She's an absolute icon, in my opinion.
Yeah, no achievements in the Masters, of course, so none were to show there. But Ryan, as we mentioned before, here are his accolades. World's top 16 2014. He's been around the block, Amy, once or twice. Of course, one of our well-veteran players. A little bit of a fun fact, Ryan Moorhouse was the player who knocked me out of top 8 in Milan. So we're bringing the same deck, Mew. So, and of course, being my caster prediction, I'm going to be shouting out for him for sure.
Oh my goodness. So no grudges held there.
Not at all. Not at all, Amy. Not at all. No, we forgive, but we don't forget.
Very nice. And moving on, let's have a little look at these prize cards. I don't think anything looks too scary on either part. So it looks like it's going to be a fair game.
Yeah, nothing too threatening in either player's prize cards. And here we see Kaya kicking us off in this round 5, starting off with the Path to the Pig. Really audacious play here, but I can't see much else in that hand, Amy.
No! Oh no, the forbidden Sableye attach pass. Let's see if Mew can indeed do many Mew things and get a more vivacious board this early in the tournament. Oh, yes, there it is. And it kind of guarantees it, doesn't it? The Forest Sealstone kind of just says to your opponent, I am going to get set up one way or another. Now, this judge might just do Kaya a favor.
It might do. Putting Kaya to 4 new cards in the hand may give her what she needs to draw out of this situation. But of course, starting with that Sableye attach pass is not going to be ideal. Of course, the Giratina V-Star wants to be playing those Battle VIP passes, all of those different resources to get set up and get some cards into the loss zone.
I always say it's a little bit of the Giratina experience to have a Sableye attached pass, but it's not what you want to see this far into their day. But then again, it is very much a deck that can come back from these circumstances and these situations, and Ryan won't be able to attack this turn, so Kaya is safe.
You hear about these situations, but you never believe they're going to quite happen. But of course, coming onto stream, unfortunately for Kaya, has put her into this situation. But then here we see the Hisuian Heavy Ball coming down for Ryan. Is going to be searching out for those Genesect Vs. I would have thought, get those Fusion Strike systems up and running, but with that Path to the Peak in play, is he going to be able to draw out anytime soon unless he's able to find that lost vacuum? Does have the Star Alchemy, of course, as an option.
Yeah, I think that might be our key to getting set up here, unfortunately, as you stated very well. Observed there is still a Path to the Peak in play and a Fusion Strike energy attached to Mew V for turn, so we won't be able to use the well-noted experience thus far of being able to attach a Fusion Strike energy to a Genesect to allow it to use its ability. However, in this instance, that won't be the case. I don't know whether it's going to be worth using the Forest Sealstone at this stage or saving it until next turn.
Although we know Kaya had an unfortunate start, I also think this is quite unlucky here for Ryan. You know, it's starting the energy for turn as well as the Forest Sealstone. He would have been able to Psychic Leap for a knockout if he were to find an Alyssa Sparkle. Did have the Forest Sealstone, so that was, you know, an option.
I believe he's gone for the Energy Mix attack, which we don't see all too often, but is still really valid, getting their second energy there from the deck onto Mew, ready for next turn. Again, I think that's a really strong play from Ryan in a not so advantageous position at the beginning, but you know, Kaya can't, or it's very unlikely Kaya will be able to do 190 damage for that Mew.
No, not at all. Not posing much of an issue to Ryan early on into this game. With no Giratina V on the bench, not even a Comfey either, but with a Nest Ball, fortunate from that judge there to draw into a Colress's Experiment as well as, as those Nest Balls. So we're going to be starting to see those flower selectings a little bit, not too late for Kaya, of course. It is only her second turn in this game, but let's see if she can get this engine up and running.
Yeah, I think that's rather the point, isn't it? Managing to get that engine chugging as early as humanly possible is really the key to these Lost Zone box decks. And Giratina has the hardest time of that acceleration of all of the different variants. So already missing a turn, not great, but Kaya did go first, so wouldn't have been able to play a Colress anyway. So it doesn't feel to me like it's that much of a problem right now.
And this is quite an awkward Colress's Experiment. There's some resources from this that Kaya would really like to keep for the later game, but as we said before, this Giratina experience, there's sometimes awkward situations thrown your way. It does have the Spiritomb as an option there as well. So effective against the Mew and the Genesect engine, of course, with that Fetid and Misfortune ability, turning them off effectively without even a Path to the Peak in play required. And here we see the retreat into the Comfey and the first flower selecting of the game for Kaya.
Kaya, yeah, I think she's debating whether to use the Nest Ball first so that a basic Pokemon is not a flower select target here. And I think, yeah, she's going to go for both Nest Balls to thin the deck of basic Pokemon, making sure they are not having to be a choice of that flower selecting, making sure the deck is as thin as possible and as fruitful with options that Kaya does want to take as humanly possible, making sure that every ball is in Kaya's court. Yeah, we saw how awkward that Colress's Experiment was on that first time, but of course using those two Nest Balls will thin the deck out, as you mentioned, of two more basic Pokemon to make those flower selectings just a little bit less painful for the future turns. And of course we mentioned how Giratina likes to get set up early and likes to put those cards in the Lost Zone as quickly as possible to start using those Mirage Gates and, you know, start putting in some damage against their opponents. But of course Kaya just a little bit a turn too late, of course, in this setup. But I don't think this is going to be much of a problem given that Ryan's start hasn't been as optimal himself. There we go. Jet Energy on the Giratina, zooming into that active spot. Spiritomb down to stop any lurking Genesects and going, of course, for the Abyss, seeking to once again make that Lost Zone nice and fruitful. Unfortunately, Kaya's choices for these kind of Lost Zone options right now have widely been Super Rods and Energy exclusive, which is really tough. Like, I would not like to be Kaya in this situation. This is a difficult deck to manage your resources at the best of times. Yeah, it's a very tricky deck to play if given those different options to Lost Zone are not quite what you want to see. Of course, we see one of the each energy type, which isn't ideal. As you've mentioned, it's a very resource-heavy deck. You have to be wary of what you have in the deck in terms of options for the Mirage Gates, and also when you start using those Rock Sands, you have to maximize your odds to those different outs, say the boss's orders to win you the game later down the line, or maybe even those boss's orders. So, yeah, not too fantastic options here for Kaya, but let's see what Ryan can do to respond here. And here we see... Here we go, the Forest Seal Stone. We've been waiting upon it. What will be chosen, though? It's a tough one at the moment. Ryan's board is not very well developed. Now, we have two Mew V with energy. Fantastic, love that, but no way of drawing cards as yet, unfortunately. And with a Path to the Peak and Spiritomb, a double barrage of blockades in Mew VMAX's way, unfortunately, I think an Iono is being deliberated, and I would be too, just to refresh the hand when there's not really any other option to do so right now.
Unfortunately, Ryan needs many things here. He needs the Genesect V on boards to start using the Fusion Strike system, and of course the Lost Vacuum to get rid of the path to the peak to start drawing some cards, and the Mew VMAX to start applying pressure. So a lot of resources required, and of course the Star Alchemy only giving you the one option as a card to get from the deck. So INO refresh the hand, see a fresh 6 cards here for Ryan, so he'll be seeing whether he can start applying that pressure. Like we said, here's the Genesect V, there's the power tablet.
Ooh.
Thin out the deck just that little bit further, and of course try and get that knockout on the on the Giratina V. Of course, that's going to be very important to have. Here we see the fresh 6.
Here we go. Let's see another power tablet, an unplayable battle VIP pass, a Genesect which can bench, a Lost Vacuum, which is lovely, but unfortunately Spiritomb is still lurking on the bench, being the menace that it is.
Yeah, fortunately some disposable cards in that hand. Does have the Box of Disaster, can attach that to any Pokemon he likes, and of course does have that Lost Vacuum and an additional power tablet. Whether he wants to play that or whether to keep it as a resource for the later game to knock out those awkward HPs on the Giratina V-Stars is something to be deliberated, but it's whether he fully goes for it here. With 5 cards in the Lost Zone for Kaya, you can imagine those Mirage Gates not too far away from her disposal. Just checking the discard pile there of Kaya's, just checking out the odds of her strategy there. But here, deliberating whether to... I would Lost Vacuum the Battle VIP pass, of course, as you mentioned, not able to be used now, being that it's past their first turn. But just delivering how to play this one out. Retreat here. Oh, and we see a Psychic Leap play.
Okay, that's not bad. I quite like that. Just placing some damage counters on the Giratina V, knowing that, you know, that's really Ryan's only option right now. And yeah, I think honestly that was a nice play, just setting some damage down. Giratina V-Star's a really heavy hit for poor old Mew VMAX. Can't quite get there a lot of the time. Feels wasteful not to use the power tablet when it had been played. So personally, I really like that. It will be difficult for Kaya to kind of take that the damage off the Giratina in any way. So yeah, no, I think it's totally valid to decide to make it easier in the future for himself.
Yeah, it puts those Giratina V-Stars, like you said, to a manageable HP for a future knockout. Of course, putting it down now to only the 180 HP if Kaya were to choose to evolve that. But here we see just the Abyss Seeking.
Oh my. Both players are having such a shaky start. Neither deck is giving an inch. They really are not setting up in the way that kind of each trainer has planned.
Yeah, and again, another very awkward cards pool there from the Abyss Seeking. Quite a resource-heavy 4 cards. The Roxanne quite pivotal in the strategy of the Giratina V-Star deck. Of course, wants to be able to use those different comeback mechanics, like the Path to the Peak, like the Roxanne as an added disruption as well, to start taking out those big knockouts with the Giratina V-Star. But here we see Ryan Moorhouse using that Lost Vacuum, getting rid of that Battle VIP pass like we spoke about. Here we see just delivering where to put the Box of Disaster as well.
I think it's a bit interesting at this stage. Kaya was on 7 in the Lost Zone, and moving her Path to the Peak into her own Lost Zone puts her 1 Colress Experiment off of that big number 10 for Giratina V-Star.
Yeah, of course, even flower selecting as well. You know, just the 1 more into the Lost Zone, like you said, very pivotal to start using that Giratina V-Star for both attacks. And of course, here we see another Judge, just that added layer of disruption there for Kaya. Of course, those Lost Zone decks quite fragile when you start disrupting them to lower hand sizes, because of course they like to keep those hand sizes big with the Colress, playing Colress after Colress, in additional to the flower selecting. You see a lot of cards. The main strategy here for Ryan is to start disrupting as early as possible to keep that engine just lower down a little bit so the power doesn't come straight back at you.
Yeah, not wrong at all. There's the 4 of the Judge. Let's see if they are any better. We got the Featherball, so we can finally get a Mew VMAX in play. Featherball's a lovely little card, but quite specific to this deck. You can search your deck for any Pokemon that has 0 retreat cost. Doesn't come up super often, but in Mew VMAX, a fantastic addition to the deck, keeping things nice and consistent. You can always get your Mew V and Mew VMAX with that one. And of course, we see our first Mew VMAX. I imagine the one on the bench might get evolved. I imagine Ryan's going to be attempting to get a Fusion Strike Energy onto the Genesect, but I don't know if they've got the resources in hand to do so. No, not at all, sadly. Just another double turbo energy, which, oh my goodness, going to go onto the active. Yeah, here we go.
Here we see the evolution into the Mew VMAX. And of course, those Fusion Strike systems now live for Ryan. Oh, and here we just see a simple knockout on the Giratina V.
Yep, big KO, the first one of the game. Here we go. Now, it feels like we're moving now. The pace of the game has been set. Ryan has said, right, now it's time to keep up, Kaya. If you can't keep up with me, then it's game over. Music to my ears.
Now, this is where Kaya really has to ramp up her own approach to the game. Now, we know Giratina V-Star really likes to capitalize on their opponents taking those early few prize cards. We know that there's an added addition of Roxanne. Of course, as soon as your opponent is able to take those 3 prize cards, you're able to instantly smack back by putting them down to 2 cards. And then, of course, the Path to the Peak is added disruption, as we also mentioned. And then there's Giratina V-Stars. Again, awkward HP costs. 280 isn't very easy for this Mew VMAX to manage. So, of course, if Kaya is able to take those quick knockouts in successive turns, that's how she'll be able to take the game.
Loving the Colress experiment off the Pokegear then. One of the few cards that Kaya would have had access to from the Pokegear, but just about doing its job in the last couple of cards there. Kaya can continue, because it's like a revolving door of Pokemon on her board state, taking the Comp phase around the block, managing to get as much in the lost zone as possible.
I would really like to see another benched Giratina V here. Of course, now Ryan hasn't used many power tablets. I believe he still has 3 left to his disposal. So those Giratina Vs are easily edible for those Mew VMAX to take quite simple knockouts. So Kaya will want to have the insurance of benching another Giratina V to fill out her game plan.
Yeah, I think that's probably likely at this stage, because Kaya is going to need to get those larger attacks. Ryan's board state is still thin enough that I think this is very far from over.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's not an optimal setup, as we mentioned earlier from Ryan. His board state isn't looking like the average one for Mew V. And of course, being that there's the Spiritomb Fetid in Misfortune, is unable to keep up maybe with this engine here from Kaya. And here we see the Path to the Peak as well, just in case Ryan was able to take out the Spiritomb. And here we see now just looking at the resources that are available. Of course, no Mirage Gate in the hand, so isn't able to power up that Giratina V, but of course does have the insurance of waiting another turn. If Ryan is able to take out another knockout with those Roxannes becoming live, Kaya will be able to refresh her hand, find those additional resources to start taking big knockouts.
And there we go, on to Ryan's turn, retreating the Mew VMAX into a Genesect V with a Box of Disaster attached. I wonder whether Ryan's just deciding to bide their time here, allowing Kaya to go into the Box of Disaster so that they kind of squish up that Giratina a little bit for Mew's taking.
Yeah, I really like this play. If Ryan was able to see this Giratina, this Genesect V be knocked out, of course, like you mentioned, 8 damage counters comes on the board to put that Giratina V-Star into more manageable range for a knockout. Here we see the Colress coming down. The Giratina V-Star. Getting my Giratinas and my Genesects mixed up here.
They're quite different.
I know, they're quite different, quite a bit. And here we see the Giratina V being an option. You can imagine Kaya definitely prioritizing that, and yes, she does. And here we see just understanding whether to play the Jet Energy, maybe another Flower selecting from that additional Comfey on the bench. And here we see the retreat. And I really like now that Kaya's starting to ramp up her hand size. You know, seeing as many options as possible for those future turns. If Ryan was able to retreat, take another knockout with the Mew VMAX in this future turn, again, it puts, I keep mentioning it, it puts Kaya in that special range where Ryan is with 3 prizes to activate those Roxannes.
And Kaya decides to be very sensible and just pass the turn, say, okay, Ryan, if you want me to KO your Genesect, no chance. Off you trot. And Ryan is forced to use a double turbo energy to retreat the Genesect to continue that strong pace of game they'd already established. Bossing up the Giratina. Oh my, are they going for a power play here?
I really like this play, only because it softens up the Giratina V-Star, like we mentioned. Isn't going to be able to take a big knockout here, but if Ryan was able to evolve this Mew V on the bench next turn, it takes out Kaya's biggest threat. So
yeah, again, softening that Giratina is so strong at this stage, is so right. Will Kaya be able to respond fast enough? There's no other large attacking Pokemon on the bench currently. There's nothing that Kaya can storm in with and make a huge difference with on this turn. And I think that is where Ryan may be able to keep up their pace of play. Kaya's deck's looking really thin, and I'm not sure the resources are there to keep going.
Yeah, keeping Ryan, keeping on 4 prizes, of course, doesn't activate those Roxannes, but softening up those Giratina V-Stars and looking at his hand as well. There are not many options there, unfortunately, for Ryan. So if Ryan was able to draw into maybe another Judge or the Mew VMAX, at least he stays in this game for a little bit longer. But with Kaya now benching another Giratina V, able to start powering this up as well, hasn't used any Mirage Gates yet this game as well either. So Kaya may be able to keep up just a little bit faster than Ryan as we come to the end of this game.
I think Kaya might need to use that V-Star move this turn just to start turning the tide in her favor, taking 3 prize cards, kind of threatening Ryan, saying, you know, if you don't respond here, I can just take 3 more. But if Ryan manages to play this sensibly and can knock out somehow with a Psychic Leap and maybe only leave 2 prizes on the bench for next turn, that would be magical.
Now Ryan does find the Ultra Ball, so if he's able to find this Mew VMAX here and take out the knockouts on this Giratina V-Star, it puts himself only 2 prizes away from taking this game. Now, of course, does have a power tablet in hand, but doesn't even need to use it. So if Ryan may still be in this game if he's able to find all those power tablets on that future Giratina V-Star that's threatening him on the bench. But yeah, this is quite... I'm eager to see how this one plays out. But Ryan definitely still on the back foot, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would like to see the power tablets get used. I'd like to see a Psychic Leap here for knockout, and then with a Mew V on bench and the 2 Genesect, that would be my favorite play of this turn. But they don't go for that. They go more aggressive and say, well, you know, I know that Kaya can't use the V-Star attack anymore. They cannot one-hit KO this Mew VMAX.
Yeah, this Mew is guaranteed to stay around, right? Yeah. Now that Kaya's already used the V-Star, is able to take a big knockout for 310. Maximum damage is going to be able to be done is only 280. So Kaya may be looking to soften up this Mew VMAX with the Sableye Lost Mine attack. But here we see the promotion of the Comfey. You can imagine a Flower Selecting coming through, just counting up the energy within that discard pile. Does have Super Rod in hand, get those energies back into the deck. I think Ryan's going to be looking at, no, yeah, you definitely haven't played any Mirage Gates yet. Nope, there's none in there.
No. There are some in the Lost Zone, though. Yes. One was discarded very early on in the Lost Zone, but I believe it's only 1, so Kaya still has 3 to go with, and a Super Rod, which looks like it's getting played there just to kind of solidify that she's definitely going to be able to get the energy that she needs. 2 Psychic and a Grass type energy going back into that incredibly thin deck at this stage of the game. But that's kind of nice. Kaya gets to tailor her kind of top decks, and she might be able to, in some way, make sure that what she would like is relatively near the top, like somewhere within draw range, you know?
Kaya has various approaches that she can take for this game now. She can try and soften up this Mew VMAX, like we said, or go for a boss play and simply take out 2 of these Genesect Vs. We know that boss is in hand. Even Countercatcher is an option as well for Kaya, now that Ryan's on only 2 prizes. But
I love the Roxanne here. I absolutely adore this, knowing that she is absolutely strangled any way of Ryan being able to draw cards out out of his deck and making sure that Path is down, Spiritom's down. Ryan could probably do nothing about it. I think disrupting Ryan down to 2 cards here is the perfect timing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the ultimate disruption is on board as well for Kaya. Spiritomb, Fetid in Misfortune, and the Path to the Peak. Draws right back into that counter catcher as well. Benches down that Cramorant, of course now thinning the deck out of even one more Pokemon if a Judge was to come down, but goes for the Lost Impact on that Mew VMAX, doing 280 damage.
I'd say that is one of the most impactful moves of this game, because the fact of the matter is, I don't know if Ryan's going to be able to do anything now. With 2 cards and no draw, well, three now thanks to the draw for turn. It looks like, oh, is one of them no, one is a Mew, a Genesect, and a Featherball. No, that's just not enough. There's not enough to save this poor Mew VMAX. If it's Psychic, it could Psychic Leap. He can bench the Mew, it can Psychic Leap. Ryan can keep himself in this game, but it is absolutely not an ideal play.
Yeah, he's in top deck city mode.
I don't like top deck city. It's not a nice place.
Benches down that Mew, opts to retreat into it, and I think he's just going to go for the pass. Oh, and it's a scoop there from Ryan.
He's saying, you know what, no, I'm too far behind now, I don't think I can manage. Oh my word, incredible show from Kaya, bringing it back from that start with just Sableye and an energy.
Yeah, showing the power of the Spiritomb as well. That Fetid in Misfortune certainly was the story to write there for Ryan. Unable to draw from those Genesects, unable to keep his engine alive, really, to stay in the game, and was just unable to keep up with Kaya's ongoing pressure of those Giratina Vs and V-Stars.
Yeah, Kaya's plays there were beautiful, absolutely exquisite. The timing of every card was like clockwork, and Ryan was quite Fetid in Misfortune in that he just couldn't respond to any of it, and so Kaya just took the game away, and it was so graceful.
Yes.
It's like the game floated away.
You have to be quite gentle when you're playing this Giratina V-Star, otherwise it can treat you quite badly, Amy. Of course, you have to keep up with your resource management. We mentioned it earlier, you know, those fragile energy counts. You know, Kaya was having to Lost Zone one of each. That is an ideal.
And a Super Rod.
And Super Rod and Mirage Gate as well.
Oh my gosh.
Those Colruses can give you quite a headache, but fortunate for Kaya, was able to overcome it and take the first game.
Much the scientist, Colress's experiment, making sure that they're giving Kaya some tough decisions, but hey, Kaya's a pro. We know this, and that's why we love to watch.
Yeah, if anybody's going to show us how to play it, it would be Kaya, of course, and both players getting ready for their game 2. And here we see both of them shuffling up, and of course the prizes are coming down for both of our players. They'll both be looking forward to seeing what will be in theirs, of course. Nothing too threatening, either of them will hope. Ooh, two power tablets.
Oh, I'm not in love with that. I'm not in love with the one of each energy type. If Kaya is... We've seen that Kaya can deal with the fact that energy can be non-ideal, right? We've seen that Kaya absolutely knows her deck inside and out, back to front, upside down.
I was wondering why Ryan was picking up his prize cards. I was like, oh, what's going on? But it was a Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Incredible.
Here we see the Featherball coming down. And like you said, such a great card in this deck, able to find a free cheater, but also an insta-playable. You can play it at any point in time in the game. Thins out your hand, so those Fusion Strike systems are that bit more effective as well.
Yeah, it's honestly just a fantastic card. An extra ball search that almost is exclusive to Mew VMAX as a deck. There are a few other decks that could utilize it, but not as effectively as Mew. Not yet, anyway.
No, not many, Amy.
And Ryan this time making sure those Genesect are high and dry on the board nice and early before Kaya has any opportunity to go Spiriting Path, shush.
Yeah, going to be looking to use as many Fusion Strike systems as possible before that Fetid in Misfortune comes down. I think what Ryan will be looking forward to do here is build up that hand, get rid of what he doesn't need, of course, start thinning out that deck further so that Fetid in Misfortune isn't as effective in those later turns.
Yeah, I mean, even managing to remove it from the board nice and early, it means that Kaya has to bring it back somehow, kind of wasting a space in a super rod, or, you know, worst comes to worst, some new players are able to Lost Zone the Spiritomb with Lost City.
Yeah, of course. And here we see another Battle VOP pass, just what he would have wanted coming into his first turn. Just going through the deck once again, just going through a little bit of a deck search, just seeing what game plans are available to him. And here we see another Genesect V coming down, another Fusion Strike system, would be just what he would have wanted going into this first turn, getting set up quite well. Probably looking for a Boss's Orders and a Mew VMAX ready for next turn.
Yeah, looks like Ryan knows that Kaya has all of this disruption. I imagine very well tested against Giratina as one of the most popular decks that we've seen in recent times. Knowing, okay, I need to get everything that I want in my hand now. And because Kaya does only really run late game disruption, Ryan can be quite complacent knowing that Kaya's going to need to prioritize Colress now. So if Ryan gets what they want in their hand now, then it's probably sticking around.
Yeah, of course. And some fantastic cards being drawn as well from this Fusion Strike system. Ultra Ball able to thin out that hand even more. Of course, that Frost Seal Stone in the hand not being able to be very useful, of course, with that V-Star being already used. So can just easily get rid of that. And the Escape Rope as well. Best card of format.
I'm not sure. I'm just saying, these Battle VIP pass are in this deck too, you know.
Yeah, here we see the Ultra Ball, of course, coming down, thinning out that hand even further. So that Fusion Strike system can put him up to three cards drawn once again. And here we see another Genesect, another Ultra Ball, and a Choice Belt. Choice Belt, fantastic in this matchup, of course.
Oh, of course.
Because, of course, you can take out those those Giratina Vs very easily with that Choice Belt. No power tablets required.
Yeah, it makes Mew so much more versatile into Giratina. But here we go with the actual best deck, actual best card in format, the Battle VIP pass. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Kaya. She's got my back. Going on in, doing that thorough deck check. I think it's so important. She'll know that she needs to counter energies out at this stage. It will make those flowers selecting a little bit trickier if presented with a choice of energies, but hopefully she'll be able to avoid it this game. Hopefully all that bad luck with having many energy in Colress Experiment and flower selecting was all used up last game.
Yeah, she's going to want to get this engine up and running as soon as possible, get those confers down as soon as possible, but opting maybe for that Fetid in Misfortune for that instant gratification that they are able to disrupt their opponent with that Fetid in Misfortune ability. Shut those Genesect Vs off as soon as possible. Not going for another Comfey, of course, prioritizing that Giratina V. So important to get that primary setup in each matchup for this Giratina V deck. Of course, we like to see them set up for those future turns, get ready to start really packing a punch once their opponents have taken those 3 prize cards and start applying the pressure with those Roxannes and those different disruption elements.
And time to begin our beautiful bouquet of Lost Zone flowers as our first flower selecting goes ahead, opting to pop a switch cart into the Lost Zone first of all, going in with the Pokegear. Come on, Pokegear, let's go. Oh, there they are.
Pokegear, it's true.
I'll be the new Pokegear tagline.
Pokegear, best card of format.
Oh my goodness, we're going to change that a lot apparently this game. So Colress Experiment, another fantastic card for Kaya at this stage. Going second, you really can't ask for anything better. It's every Giratina Lost Zone player's dream to have that Colress, and thank goodness the Pokegear did its job on this occasion.
Yeah, just applies that added consistency. Like you said, we really want to start seeing those Colresses early on with these Lost Box engines, whether it's Lost Box or Giratina V-Star, and Pokegear gives you that option to find that Colress earlier on.
And we're going to say goodbye to a Nest Ball, of course, taking the second Battle VIP pass. Oh, thanks, Kaya. You really doing me a solid here.
I don't have a chance. I don't have a chance.
Amazing. And that's the sort of combo that this deck just thrives off of. Being able to go from that Cull Res back into another Battle VIP pass. Kaya now gets to get the Comfey and make that bench incredibly comfy indeed, so that, you know, they're all set up for the next few turns.
Yeah, I mean, like we both mentioned, getting those flower selectings down as early as possible, start tallying up those cards in the lost zone earlier on, kind of get to that magic 7 as early as possible to start activating those Mirage Gates and start applying pressure.
Yep, that magical first number of Lost Zone Giratina. However, I mean, we do have an earlier one as an option, not quite as widely utilized in this particular matchup, but our first number of the day when we're thinking about the Lost Zone is 4 for that Cramorant Spit Innocently. Sometimes that little peck of damage from a Cramorant can be enough to be so obstructive to Mew's play style. Going in with another hit. Ooh, Cold Resident Roxanne. Roxanne hits the Lost Zone. We know that Kaya has more than one up their sleeve. It's fine. She's got this. Doesn't need that. Can save it for later. But right now, the Lost Zone is the priority. So Colress is there, retreating off the Jet Energy. Love that combo into another flower selecting. We're getting a full bouquet this turn.
Yeah, and quite a weird choice here for Kaya. Can go for that added consistency with the concealed cards. Radiant, Greninja, or even the Grass Energy, but opts to prioritize the energy itself. Maybe doesn't want to bench for, well, can't bench any further Pokemon, but of course, maybe even in the future doesn't want to bench any more. Of course, knowing that Path to the Peak will be coming down in those future turns, maybe that Radiant Greninja is not as quite as useful in the other matchups, but I think, you know, when we go into those important plays, you mentioned the Cramorant. So important in this one, I think, because, of course, it softens up that Mew VMAX. Being 310 HP isn't fantastic for Giratina V-Star, as able to one-shot with any sort of attacks, but able to softening it up with a Spit Innocently might have been the play. But opting for another flower selecting to start getting that engine up and running is obviously where Kaya's head is at.
Yeah, Ryan going ahead, taking a nice simple turn, evolve 2 Mew into Mew VMAX and take a KO. So we're back onto Kaya already. Honestly, this game's flying by.
It really is.
Oh my gosh, Kaya, there we are, 6 in the Lost Zone already, much faster than last time, but the whole pace of the game has increased as both players have set up what I would call properly this time. Their decks have both achieved what they are trying to achieve in the early turns. Ryan has not yet been too heavily disrupted, made sure that he's had everything in his hand before that Spiritomb came down, and now has a couple of attacking turns guaranteed because 2 Mew VMAX are here and ready to rumble. Yeah,
Kaya's got quite a tricky set of plays to be made now going into this next turn, only because facing up against this Mew VMAX, the counter catcher is live, can opt to go for a Genesect V or start attacking this Mew VMAX. Of course, wants to save that Star Requiem for one of the Mew VMAXs, so maybe doesn't want to waste Lost Zoning 2 energy with the Lost Impact on this Mew VMAX and start taking prizes elsewhere.
I don't know. The Lost Impact also helps you to increase that Lost Zone itself. So if you leave yourself on 8, like now, go for the Lost Impact. Then you put yourself on 10, ready for the next turn. Yeah. And then if you manage to hit the Mirage Gate onto the second Giratina, then you're nice and set. And I feel like that's a really lovely combo. And with the energy that's quite clearly in Kaya's hand right now, I feel like the possibility is there for that exact combo.
Yeah, does have Boss's Orders also as an option here. Can, like we said, take out one of those Genesect Vs. Will be easy, but goes for the Lost Impact maybe on the Mew VMAX. And of course, well, this isn't awful, right? With 280 damage already on this Mew VMAX, can simply knock it out with that Spit Innocently now on the board for Kaya, and of course a single prize, taking 3 prizes, fantastic.
Honestly, I really like this play. Similar reasoning. Kaya's now set up, 10 in the Lost Zone, happy. And Ryan's going to struggle to remove the damage from that Mew VMAX without kind of not taking a particularly impactful turn. If he's forced to Psychic Leap, he's unlikely to take a meaningful KO unless it's on that Spiritomb.
Of course, the optimal play here would be to try and boss up something that is able to be knocked out with the Psychic Leap, but no power tablets in hand by the looks of it for Ryan. So might opt for a Psychic Leap on the Giratina V-Star, and that's exactly what he's going for.
Yeah, and again, we don't mind that. We've mentioned a few times that both of these decks have to do that softening. They both have to kind of have a little hit to go in for a larger one, just to make things easier on themselves.
Yeah, it's quite. They're putting themselves in awkward positions for both players. Like you said, 310 HP, 280 HP. It's quite awkward numbers for both players to be able to reach. But now with that Giratina V-Star on 230 HP, that's a lot more manageable. However, it does require 2 power tablets if they are able to turbo strike with a Mew VMAX. It does promote that Mew V. Now, of course, this is where the real mind games come into play. Does Kaya... Well, Kaya does save that boss in hand, of course, from last turn. Oh, and the boss is orders.
Here we go! Yeah. Going for a huge KO on this Mew VMAX, knowing that they, you know, Kaya needs to start responding. Where Ryan did opt to Psychic Leap last turn, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take 3 prize cards anyway. Does get Kaya back some resources. She knows there's energy in there.
Well, we knew that they were forced to use the boss, but even better when you're able to use a Star Requiem on that Mew VMAX. This was Ryan's biggest asset, I would have said, on board. Of course, those Genesec Vs unable to start getting cards into his hand. That engine is switched off. So now it's the question as to whether Ryan can really keep up with this game.
Yeah, going for an Ultra Ball for a Mew V. Is there a Mew VMAX in hand?
I believe there was.
Oh,
I believe
beautiful.
it was the secret rare ones.
Oh, the gold one.
I think so, yes.
Oh, I did notice that art last game, so you might very well be correct on that one. But I'm not sure if there's much else Ryan can do now. Kaya putting the pressure on by taking out the Mew with energy on was big. Ryan's running out of resources and doesn't have any way to draw more cards. Yep, here we go. The stall tactics begin. Bringing forward a Giratina V, again putting the Genesec with the Box of Disaster inactive, saying, well, if Kaya does manage to hit this, at least I've softened up another Giratina.
Yeah, really tricky situation for Ryan. Unfortunately, having to boss stall, like you said, the Giratina V, but fortunate for Kaya, does have that switch card in hand already. But I think for Kaya, really doesn't want to be taking a knockout necessarily on this Box of Disaster. Further damage on that Giratina V-Star means it's more manageable to knock out for Ryan. However, with only, I think, 3 cards in hand, that Mew VMAX wasn't in the hand in the end. You know, it's whether Ryan can top deck himself out of a situation, draw into an INO, or maybe a judge to start saving himself.
Going for an Avery. We saw Kaya toying with the idea of using Lost Impact to take out this Genesect, but I worry about the energy usage. We know that Kaya is the master of resource management, but it still makes me anxious, you know?
Yeah, it's very, it can be quite tricky, but I think with the energy that's in hand and with only 1 knockout required now for Kaya, she is in a really fantastic position to take this game with only 1 prize card remaining to take the entire round as well. And with Ryan top decking the Mew V, that's not fantastic.
Oh, there is a difference in reserved Pokemon that I am seeing that is quite concerning.
Yeah, and a pass over to Kaya. It's whether Kaya can find the Mirage Gate for another Lost Impact with this Giratina V-Star, but there's a bunch of energy in the hand.
There's too much.
And I think without concealed cards being an option as well, no option to draw additional cards to start using the... Oh, an Observer Retreat. I don't mind this.
I don't mind the Cramorant. Yeah, I also don't mind the Cramorant at all. The only unfortunate part about this is that Ryan could use it as an opportunity to switch between the Mews freely, gaining himself time and top decks while Kaya scrambles for enough resources to make a meaningful KO.
Now, I think with... Ooh, nice. Ooh. I don't mind this.
I don't mind this at all.
And with an... Oh, no, I think they've... oh, no, they've already attached for turn.
Yeah, so next turn, Kaya can do this. But I don't know whether it's going to give Ryan enough wiggle room, because Ryan can retreat into a different Mew V, kind of hoping that Kaya obviously doesn't have that last energy. But it doesn't buy Ryan a lot of time. This top deck is crucial.
And with this spit innocently, it puts the Mew V within 2-shot range anyway. And here we see the chromatic. First one of the game.
Oh, I know, come on.
Oh, are we seeing this, Ryan?
Ryan.
I think it's gone off the table.
Do another. Shows.
It's a tails.
Oh, Ryan, it could have
unable to find.
Could have been the comeback of the century, Ryan. Again, just having to retreat, pass, and Kaya's got the jet for game.
Kaya able to take the second game there against Ryan. The disruption was way too powerful in the end. The Fetid Misfortune, the Path to the Peak, and in addition with those heavy hits.